All right, Robin, we're going to take a moment and talk about social engineering. It's a non-technical method of intrusion that hackers use. It relies heavily on human interaction. It could involve tricking people to share information. And today it is one of the greatest threats that organizations face. Social engineering is a widely used means to gather information. You can also entice users to run malware-laden software. The emails or communication received is so convincing, and we've all seen them, that many will fall prey to these tactics. Phishers use social engineering to convince people to divulge sensitive information.
And spammers and hackers use social engineering to frighten people into running software that is at best useless and at worst dangerous. Social engineers rely on the psychology of individuals. Individuals want to help others, and this is normally their nature. Social engineers make use of this attitude of individuals. Social engineers call up the potential victims, convince them that they are genuine, and try to get confidential information. They can send enticing emails, known as phishing emails, and links that appear to come from genuine sources.
Yeah. Social engineers can get to know the user credentials and get onto the network in this way. A social engineer can appeal to your vanity, authority, even greed, and he can eavesdrop to gather information. Now note that he is doing this with an ulterior motive, right? You could be given bait. For example, let's say he leaves a CD with the name of a popular movie printed on it or a pen drive. You may think that he left it by mistake, and you might be curious to know what is on it. So you just got baited. Now, if you try to see what is on the disk or drive, the malware can get into the system, so be cautious.
Now, let's talk a little bit about phishing. It is predominantly about sending fraudulent emails, often appearing to be genuine emails and from a trusted source. If you're not careful, you'll be tricked into installing malware by opening a zip file, clicking on a link, or even just opening an email. They can also pose as officials from a government agency or a bank seeking your details to start with and then asking for credentials.
Yeah, and sometimes they ask for the credentials to book a flight or a movie in exchange for a gift for allowing so, right? You know, they offer you an incentive. And once they have your details, they can install malicious software on your machine, or they could do something harmful then and there. You can even get unsolicited spam emails as part of this whole activity. As part of phishing, you can target specific individuals or organizations to gather sensitive information such as financial data, intellectual property, etc. They can also tailgate to steal valuable information or property.
What are the different techniques used by social engineers? A. Phishing. B. Vishing. C. Impersonation. And D. Emailing.
Well, as in all the questions we've asked, the correct answers, I think, are more than one. I think it's A, B, and C in this case.
Right. Social engineers use social networks and other sources to get information about people who can provide us with useful information. Phishing is predominantly used by sending emails and links to potential victims, and the potential victims are lured into clicking a link, and then you have the malware getting installed. Phishing emails may contain zip files or other attachments with viruses or malware included.
Now, not phishing, but vishing is also used to get information by calling potential victims to share their confidential information. Impersonation is the best way to carry out information gathering or attacks, though it's pretty tough to do. You have to be pretty talented. Emailing is part of phishing. Now, you can send spam mails, but then consider them to be part of phishing.
Social networks are very popular today. There's hardly anyone who is IT literate who is not on social networks. You may not find all the accounts to be genuine. People can open fictitious accounts to carry out their activities. Attackers are known to use social network sites to befriend people and get confidential information about the target organization. The information sought could be on the organization's strategy, intellectual property, and login credentials.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Social networks facilitate social engineering. You can find potential victims through the sites and then move on with social engineering activities. People relate to those from the same school, university, beliefs, faiths, views, passions, work locations, things we have in common with, right? These sites allow people to share that information quickly and freely. And considering the volume of data data exchanged, it is very difficult to track the information leaks. People tend to update their plans and events in their office in which they participate or lead, etc. They can share confidential information without realizing that they really should not. Right? So many social networking sites allow visitors to look for others. This allows you to get the most out of their personal details. It could be their contact details or if they are active or not. Examples of such sites, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+.
Companies' websites provide quite a lot of information. You may not be detected by the IDS nor your activities logged. An attacker can potentially build a detailed map of a website structure and architecture. You can use footprinting tools to help you with this. You can even use utilities that come with the OS, such as Telnet and Browser.
Right. And in addition, you can use Netcraft to gather website information such as an IP address, a registered name, and domain details. And by browsing the target site, you can get to know the underlying operating system, the software used, and even the version of that software. If off-the-shelf software is used, you can get the details of that version. You can get the subdirectories and parameters that are used. This information can be very helpful to attack a site. Now you can also get the file name, the path, database field names, or queries. You can analyze anything after a query that looks like a file name, path, database field name, or query to check if you have an opportunity for a SQL injection.
You can get to know the scripting platform using the file extensions. It could be ending with PHP, ASP, JSP, etc. You can also find out the contact details and content management system, if any is used. CMS software allows URL rewriting in order to disguise the script file name extensions.
Email tracking is yet another method to monitor, as well as to track the emails of someone who is your potential victim. You can get the date and the time when an email was sent by the owner, when it was delivered, and how the recipient accessed it. You can have many email tracking tools. You can collect information such as IP addresses, mail servers, and service providers from which the email was sent. This information can be used for phishing or to build the hacking strategy. You can use tools such as Email Tracker Pro and Paraben Email Examiner.
So just to highlight, you gather the following information by using email tracking tools. You can get the geolocation of the recipient on the map and the location. All you need to do is get the IP addresses and you can find the details. You can find out the duration spent in reading emails and get to know the proxy server used by the recipient. You can also find out if the links sent to the recipient have been checked or not. You can find out the operating system used by the recipient. You know the vulnerabilities in the OS, and you can use them to attack the victim. You can find out if the mail has been forwarded to others or not. You can use the tools to get all this and much more information.